Good morning, everybody. I can see that people are joining us gradually, but as we're coming up to 11 o'clock, I think we're going to kick off. Thanks for joining us this morning. My name is Melissa Smith, and I'm the Managing Director of the Industry Club. For those of you who may not know us, we're a leading recruitment and training provider to the marketing and creative industries. Last year, we collaborated with the Opportunity Group and launched Marketing Debuts, which is an apprenticeship scheme to tackle the lack of diversity in the industry head on, helping companies like yours source, recruit, and train young talent from outside of probably your normal echo chambers. This morning, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Katie Hart and Kate Temple-Brown. Katie is our early careers expert and lead recruiter for Marketing Debuts. She's just recruited all of the new starters on the recent Marketing Debuts programs, and she's a regular contributor and broadcaster on diversity, early careers and mentoring. Morning, Katie. Oh, Katie, you're on mute.
Hello.
And my other co-host this morning is Kate Temple-Brown. Kate is the client director and founder of the Opportunity Group, who are our partner in the programs. The Opportunity Group are a government-approved apprenticeship provider and early careers advisors as well. And Kate is the guru on apprenticeship funding, and really importantly for today, no pressure, Kate. My series just gone off. Yes, Kate's the guru on apprenticeship funding, and really importantly for today, the expert in maximising funding opportunities for businesses like yours. So I'm actually going to turn to Kate first this morning. I'm actually going to tell you what's involved in the webinar, just so you know what we've got coming up first. Kate's going to take us through what a modern marketing apprenticeship looks like, how to maximise that government funding, not just through the levy, but through some grants that are also available. I'm also going to take you through what the learning programme looks like on our apprenticeship programmes, and potentially what you might find on other programmes. And then Katie is going to take you through our recruitment process, and also take you through some of the experiences we've had already on the programmes, and some of the learners that are currently on our programmes as well. If you have questions for us today, we'd love to hear them. There is a Q&A function on your toolbar. Please start to ask the questions throughout the webinar, but I'll be answering those along with my hosts around about 10 to 12 this morning. We're hoping to leave about 10 minutes for questions, so please do get those in. We've also got some questions for you as well, though. So there'll be some polls popping up around about slides 6 and 9, I believe. If you're able to contribute towards those, we'd love to hear from you. It will be most useful for us. And if you're watching this on demand, I'm afraid the voting lines are now closed. I'm dying to say that. So Kate, tell us a little bit more about modern apprenticeships.
Yes, so thank you, Melissa. The term modern apprenticeships has been created because in 2017, the whole apprenticeship landscape changed. So instead of apprenticeships being predominantly vocational for people who were not going to go to university and wanted to learn a trade, the government blew open all the opportunities that people of any age and any tenure in an organisation could do a development programme. And so now, because of the funding that comes through an employer's levy payment, which is 0.5% of your PAYE, if your PAYE is more than £3 million a year, you can now make a choice of over 300 different programs that you can deliver within your organisation to anyone who is an employee. So really the benefit of that is that as an organisation, you can map your strategic goals or diversity agenda to creating very tailored programs that are relevant to your organization and will give you the skills and capabilities that you need. And in general, the criteria which one needs to follow are quite high level. So I think we've got that on the next slide, but it is really a program that is 12 months and 1 day in length at the minimum. It is open for anyone in your organisation who is doing a role that is relevant to that programme. And also it is something that is based on a standard, but the standard is something that can be seen as the foundation of the programme. And what we've done with the Industry Club and Marketing Debuts is over deliver on that standard, so that we've added a whole heap of other stuff that we think will be relevant to your early talent. And Melissa will go through that later. So the other misnomer is that it is open to people who've been to university already, as well as school leavers. Now there is no educational barrier to doing an apprenticeship, as long as your university degree or PhD or master's isn't in the same subject as the apprenticeship. And also the employers themselves, although they are in the driving seat, they can decide whether they want to have an open cohort, which means you put a couple of people onto a program and then it's lots of different organizations working together to make that program. Or you can have what's called a closed cohort, which is your own people of about 20 employees at once on the same program. And then you have much more control over the co-design of that program and the branding of that program. So the salary is what you will need to pay, as you would do for any other person that you are bringing into your organisation as an employee. And we recommend the living wage of the city in which your company sits. So that's 19.9 in London, and I think it's between 16 and 18 in other areas around the UK. But the good news is that there are government dispensations and supports to offset the cost that you will find. And also one of the many things that we're doing to support you in making the decision to say, yes, you would like to offer an opportunity to a new person coming into your organisation, is that we would organise the levy transfer for you if you are not a levy payer. And we're going to go through that in detail later. But really what we believe is that this is a great opportunity for you to share the opportunities and open your doors to a different population. And what we have decided to do as a partnership is to support you in that by supporting you and taking the pain away from the logistics of recruitment and giving you extra pastoral care and support for that young person while they're on the programme.
Fantastic. And as you mentioned, your company doesn't have to pay into the levy pot, and that you can organise a levy transfer. Should we go through that in a little bit more detail on this? Kate?
So the training is funded through an apprenticeship levy, but the brilliance is it doesn't need to be your apprenticeship levy. And what the government has done very much more in the last year is unlock the ability for large organisations who have large levy pots to share their unspent levy with other people who are non-levy payers. So what we do is we broker for you that situation whereby you can have as many learners as you would like to bring into your organisation on an apprenticeship, and we will support you in finding a donor to pay for that levy programme. And in fact, what we've got this year is somebody, a company called Lumen, who were so impressed by our focus on giving young people an opportunity. They've said that wherever it is in the country, they will fund 5 of our marketing debuts. So that's amazing that they are really making a difference to their CSR strategy by funding your young people. The other thing it's worth noting is that right now the government are giving you a grant per apprentice that you hire into your organisation. And that's £2,000 if they're under 25 and £1,500 if they're over 25. At the moment, that ends on the 31st of March, but we absolutely predict that they will extend that, as they have with furlough and other COVID-related support pieces. And the other piece that is of value to you in terms of being cost efficient is that no apprentice, whether they're new or existing employee who is under 25, needs to have their national insurance payments paid. So you are immediately saving 13% on that salary that we talked about earlier on the earlier slide. So we really think that this is a great time now to maximise the support that the government's giving you, as well as join this great programme.
And I think it's also worth mentioning that the government have just put another fund in that if an apprentice is between 16 and 18, it's actually £3,000 grant. Am I right in saying that, Kate?
Yes, so they've added another £1,000 for people who are hiring. There are also other grants and dispensations that there are different boroughs in London that you can get additional funding for as well. So we would go through that with you to help you maximise the opportunity on a case-by-case basis.
And also the national insurance payments, that's for existing employees that join the apprenticeship scheme as well, that are under 25. So, you know, if you had 20 existing employees on an apprenticeship scheme under 25, then also those national insurance payments are not due. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes. And it gets taken out directly. The HMRC deal with all the paperwork. You just get a special code and you put that into your payroll, and you do not need to pay national insurance going forward.
Win-win. So I thought I'd just share with you a quote actually from one of our recent host employers, David Miller from Red Brick Road. He's the CEO. They've actually taken on 5 apprentices this year on marketing debuts across project management and social media. And he said, we have a D&I strategy which we wanted to unlock, but for a small business, as ever, budgets can inhibit some of our ambitions. Learning about apprenticeships and receiving a levy transfer helped us to unlock this challenge. We've been able to recruit from a more diverse and inclusive talent pool with funding that equips our apprentices to have the very best platform to learn and develop from. Kate, do you want to tell us a little bit about the funding for Red Brick Road? It was pretty straightforward, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. What we've done is we use one of our brokerage systems called London Progression Council that's been set up predominantly to maximise this levy donation. And they have links in with Amazon, Lloyds Bank and other large organisations who have committed to supporting small organisations with levy funding. And we do the phone calls, the immediate introduction, and from the receiver side, you fill in one form explaining why you want to put your employees onto an apprenticeship, whether they be new or existing, and also your an overview of your company, and then everything else we do with you. We help you set up your apprenticeship account and do the regulatory piece, which takes about half an hour on your side, and then from then on, the money comes directly each month from the donor into your DAS account and then out of your DAS account to us. So all of that happens automatically.
Fantastic. So I think we've got some polls now, Katie. I think you're going to launch those for us, aren't you? We're just there we go. Thank you, Katie. So we'd just be really interested to hear from the people that are live on the webinar today, if you know whether your business does pay into the apprenticeship levy, or you're not quite sure, or it's a definite no. So we're getting some results in here. That's fantastic. And also, would the 2K additional grant be a deciding factor on whether to hire an apprentice or not as well? So let's have a look at the results that we're getting there. Lovely. Okay, so we've got 43% of our attendees today do pay into the apprenticeship levy. 32% do not, so they're smaller businesses, and 27% not sure. Those of you that are not sure, do not worry. There are many businesses that are paying into the levy right now, and the people that are responsible for apprenticeships and hiring are not even aware that they're paying into the levy. So it's the first step from today is to go and find out whether you are a levy payer or not. That's a really good first step. And would the 2K additional grant be a deciding factor? 50% are saying yes, so let's hope that Rishi in the budget extends that. We're feeling pretty confident that he will. 23% have said no, and 27% saying not sure. So that's fantastic. Thanks, guys. Thanks for participating. I'll just share the results on that. I'm not quite sure. Okay, there you go. Share. I've never done a poll before. It was a first for me. I'm now going to take you through the learning program on how apprentices learn on apprenticeship programs. So a big question that we were asked in the last cohort, and we're continuing to be asked, is how much time is actually spent in off-the-job training? Because the government talk about a 20% of off-the-job training in the government guidelines. Now, my answer to that is it depends very much on which apprenticeship provider you choose to go with and what apprenticeship scheme you choose. So there are some schemes that provide training through college day release, for example, still some digital marketing schemes that do that. Or they supply the training via online platforms, or where the apprentices are actually expected to go and find the information through academies or TED Talks or YouTube. And that can be really time consuming for the learner. Those kind of schemes are much more curated content than coaching, which is totally different to how we run our schemes. So let me take you through how we do run our schemes and how the apprentice learns. So we have 1 day a month in a virtual classroom with industry trainers on Zoom. If you look in the bottom left-hand corner of this slide, you will see, I think that was a recent project management cohort on the creative project management course. So 1 day a month in a virtual classroom, and all of our training is carried out by industry trainers, not kind of universal trainers, people that really know the skill, knowledge and behaviours of working in marketing and advertising. There's then a further hour per week demonstrating on-the-job learning via the Opportunity Group's My Learning portal. And it's worth mentioning that that portal supports the learner all the way through their programme. And we upload all of the training videos, all the presentations that we make, the actual sessions. And this is where, when the learner or the apprentice is on the job, they're evidencing what they are doing on the job, they're uploading it to that platform. So an example I would give in the early stages of the apprenticeships is, you know, any meetings that they're going into, any communication that they're having, maybe any timing plans that they're writing, or status reports, or, you know, anything to do with the actual on-the-job learning, that forms that 20% of the off-the-job requirement. And that is how we develop our programs. And that's quite different to other apprenticeship providers. Got a nice little quote here from Dave Robinson, who is the operations director at Big Brand Ideas in Manchester. He's just taken on a new apprentice called Scott. He's saying he's settled in really well. He's also put a number of more junior project managers on the apprenticeship scheme, existing learners, and they're all loving it. Hats off, they're really engaged, and they all feel they're going to develop personally and professionally going forward. Ace. Love Dave. Unlike any other programs, we also set the new learner up for success with an employability bootcamp at the start of the program, which the Opportunity Group fund and carry out. So I'm going to let Kate tell you a little bit more about the bootcamp.
Yeah, I also thought it was worth mentioning that quote of Scott settling in so well, he's never been into the office because it's been a fully virtual experience. And I know that there are some people who are concerned about hiring now, thinking, I'm going to wait until people can come into the office. What we've done, and particularly with this employability bootcamp, we believe, is really set the learners up for success in working in a virtual way and not going into the office. So we have that expectation that won't be happening until the summer. So what we've done is we've set up this employability bootcamp, which also has the added value of giving you a whole heap of off-the-job hours. So what the employability bootcamp will give you is at least 30 of your necessary off-the-job hours right at the beginning, because we do the first week and a half of their time on program is very much high touch with us. And we have a team of facilitators who are employability specialists to talk about their values, how to be successful in role, how to work in a professional environment, because many of them have never done that before. So things like how to even write a professional email, how to maximize the time on an apprenticeship, how to work and learn at the same time, and all the surrounding feeling of having a larger cohort. So they do some social activities together as well. They do breakout rooms, so they get to know each other as a group. So even if you are only looking to hire one, then they will feel part of a broader cohort because of the work we do, making them have that social aspect as well. They'll also be introduced to everyone in the team, and they have their very first workshop in this really high touch environment where we talk through that workshop about how they can apply their learning on the job, how they understand how they can be an apprentice, and how they can support their own line managers in supporting them in maximising this opportunity and maximising the application of learning, which we think is key to unlocking a successful apprenticeship while you've got a very busy day job as well.
Yeah, and we had some cracking presentations from leading industry figures, as well as host employers as well. So, you know, the great thing about apprenticeship schemes is that lots of people in the industry want to get involved and give their time, which is fantastic. I mean, this is the first time we've run the employability bootcamp, and I have to say the feedback has been phenomenal. You know, it really is a great springboard for these guys for when they start in their jobs, and just takes away a lot of that work that the HR or onboarding people in your business need to do. So it really delivers a tangible support group for those young learners, which we continue on. We have WhatsApp groups set up for all the marketing debuts. We have socials. There's one next Thursday evening going in actually with Brooklyn Brothers, who are coming in to do a presentation for us that they did at Cannes a couple of years ago, on teaching, what is it? Teaching advertising old tricks or something. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but anyway, a great presentation. And Katie is also an ongoing mentor to all of the new apprentices. So yeah, we're really proud of that employability bootcamp, and it's a unique addition to a standard apprenticeship scheme. So that's fantastic. Let's get into actually what programs then Marketing Debuts covers, and what we are able to offer marketing and advertising industry. So we have 4 programs that are going to be running in 2021. 3 of these are running already. They started in January, but we're hoping to set off another cohort in April, because a lot of people were unable to hire an apprentice in January due to the pandemic. The first one is creative project management. That's a 12-month scheme, and we're hoping to kick that off in April. Now, it's a really broad skills scheme for anyone responsible for successful project delivery in creative and marketing agencies. So, you know, it's not specific to any type of agency. It's not for a digital agency. It's not for, well, I shouldn't say it's not for, it is for a digital agency, an advertising agency. It's a really broad scheme that covers much of the foundational skills required for account management, campaign management, production, and of course, project management, which, you know, from my recent research into the industry, actually project management is becoming more of a prominent role, you know, much more hybrid account and project people. So, you know, through this program, apprentices will learn how to scope and plan and deliver marketing projects, obviously on time, on budget, as well as learning about contracts, procurement, negotiation, and resource management. So, you know, if you're thinking about hiring an apprentice, you're not quite sure which department they would best fit into, this is a brilliant scheme for coming into the agency and sitting right in the middle of projects and learning about, you know, every single department in the agency. Of course, I'm slightly biased on this because I'm one of the key trainers. I come from a project management background, and I've been a project management trainer for 10 years. So that's that scheme. The second scheme that we're already running is social and digital community management. It's a new scheme. No one else is running this at the moment in the marketing industry. Again, it's 12 months. It kicks off in April. Now, this is a specific scheme for creating social media strategies and content and managing online communities and social channels. It's a level 4 scheme with the government, but what we have done is we have tailored it. Sorry, I should say it's a level 4 community management scheme on the government site. But what we've done is we've taken that and tailored it so that it covers a lot more social media and community management. Again, as Kate said, we're over delivering on this course, on this scheme. Over the 12-month period, apprentices learn about promoting brands on social, building loyal communities, influencer marketing, social advertising, analytics, and campaign measurement. So brilliant for social media managers, community managers, and probably comms planners in data departments as well, data and planning departments. It's a really neat scheme, and we've got some amazing trainers on that. The third scheme is a level 3 scheme, data technician. Again, another 12-month scheme starting in April. And again, this is another specific scheme for anyone managing and manipulating data, but safely and securely. Obviously, data is becoming a much more important part of the marketing mix day by day, data storytelling. So this is a fantastic scheme for anyone that's managing any data in your business: data manager, data planner, database manager, data analyst, content manager maybe, would really benefit from the data technician scheme. The fourth scheme is digital marketer. And this is a new scheme that we're launching this year. We are road mapping it right now and hiring our trainers on the scheme. We're hoping to get this live by Q3, so between July and September this year. There is a possibility we might get it live by April, because there is a couple of companies that are very interested in closed cohorts. So watch this space on this one. And this 12-month scheme spans marketing theory, marketing business practice, the principles of coding and digital technologies, plus campaign analytics through Google Analytics and Google Tools. So again, it's a really good entry-level scheme for account execs, project managers, content managers, or maybe even junior developers who need a good foundation into marketing. I think what's great with this scheme is that it's so broad that you can bring apprentices in that you like and that you feel would be a great fit for your business, and then they can choose actually which area that they're going to go into once they've completed the apprenticeship scheme. So they are the 4 schemes that we will be delivering this year, and I'm just going to run a poll now, if I may. Let's have a look. We would really love to hear from you that if you were to hire an apprentice, what would be their ideal start date for your business, and which programs are most relevant for your business out of those 4. Oh, I need to launch the poll. Apologies. There we go. Okay, got some answers coming in. Fantastic. Okay, we've got 20 of 34 people have voted already, so I'll just give it another moment, see if anyone else is going to come through. Got 58% of attendees voting at the moment. Okay, so far we have 60% of the 20 people saying April to June. Oh, that's just gone up to 57. 33% July to September, so Q2, and 24% in October to December. And in terms of the schemes, we have 90% on creative project management, 62 on social media and community, 19 on data technician, and 48 on digital marketeer. Fantastic. Thanks very much, guys. That's brilliant. I'll just share the results there so that everyone can see those. Marvelous. Okay, so we have gone through what a modern day apprenticeship scheme looks like. We've gone through the learning program and the programs that Marketing Debuts can offer. I'm now going to hand you over to Katie to tell you more about our recruitment process. Katie.
Yeah, so I think I get to deliver the nicest bit of this presentation, because I get to introduce you to our amazing first cohort, and I have absolutely loved working with all of these guys over the last few months, and I'm so proud of all of them, kind of seeing their growth even from the recruitment process through the boot camp. And then this week has been really lovely to be able to also celebrate what they've been up to and how amazing they've done in just kind of 2.5 weeks in their agencies, and how stuck in some of them have already got into doing projects and writing content for websites and stuff. It's been amazing. So on this first cohort, we had, oh, I've covered up my facts. We had a total of 42 learners across 3 programs. And out of those 42 learners, 25 were new starters to businesses. So it's been amazing as well, considering the pandemic, that we've also been able to offer 25 new opportunities to young people. And amongst those 25, we had a really good diversity rate. So 95% came from underrepresented groups. And the opportunity group helped us get £144,000 in funding to cover 14 of those places, which is amazing. So I'm going to just take you through what we did to actually achieve this and find such an amazing pool of candidates. So my background is in early careers, and it's something I'm really, really passionate about. And I think so much of it is still about education. I mean, don't know if I should be embarrassed to admit this or not, but I studied marketing at university, and 4 years later, I still didn't know what marketing agencies really did. And I don't think it's something that's necessarily taught through in careers, whether that be at school level or at university. So the first thing that I've really been focusing on over the last few months is building partnerships with schools and colleges and universities, and just taking them through, firstly, what an apprenticeship is, but also actually educating them on what the creative industry involves and what roles can look like in marketing. And from there as well, building wider partnerships with local councils. And also we've been working with some amazing organisations and charities that really support young people from underrepresented groups and low social mobility break into the industry. And I think we've really learned, even more so from kind of doing this first cohort, how important it is to make this recruitment process different to how we would normally recruit and our usual recruitment methods, to really help us break out of our usual echo chambers to find amazing talent. And I think if we hadn't have done all of this work, then we wouldn't have found this group of people. And I think it's testament to programs like this, because potentially without stuff like this, we would have missed out on the amazing talent from this young group of people. And so a big difference, I guess, with our recruitment process is taking a step back from focusing on their grades and their qualifications and what internships and work placements they have been able to do, and instead look at their motivations and their passion and enthusiasm for the industry. And we had them demonstrate this through the process. So we asked for a CV and a covering letter, but the most important thing for us that we looked at was actually a short task that we set them at application stage. And we kept it really brief, and we didn't kind of say how we wanted them to deliver that task to us, so that we were able to see their approach to a brief, their level of creativity, and actually how much they knew already about the industry and what interested them, especially about kind of knowing what they already know. And it was really interesting to see. I mean, some of the tasks that we had back, the videos and the animations and everything that we had were amazing. I have no idea how at 18 years old some of these guys know how to do what they delivered. And it's not all about the creative aspect either. We had some that gave really detailed written pieces, and you could see that maybe they've got more of a kind of strategic mind. So it was just a really nice way for them to demonstrate their skill set. And then also fully appreciating that for a lot of these young people, this is their first experience of a professional interview process, and it probably is quite terrifying for them. So there's loads of support and preparation throughout the whole process. I did initial quite informal interviews with them, again, to actually kind of tell them a little bit more about what a career in the industry could look like, but also just to not make it seem so daunting and scary. From then we then did an assessment centre, and then we then put together profiles to then put forward to agencies for them to carry out the final stage. And again, there was preparation all through that as well, because these guys will never have probably met with an agency before. So making sure that they were fully prepared and they felt fully supported going into that final interview. And I guess most importantly as well, that they were genuinely excited to go into that agency and find out more and explore the prospects of them working for that agency. And then that support obviously continues. Like Melissa said earlier, we have WhatsApp groups with these guys. I touch base with them frequently just to see how they're getting on and how they're enjoying their new roles. So for the recruitment process, we charge a £1,000 fee, which I hope, kind of hearing about all the work that's gone into that you think that that's a really good return on investment and a great opportunity for you to find some really amazing talent.
And I think it's also worth mentioning that most of the agencies took on board Katie's interview notes, assessment centre, looked at the tasks, and the interview process for them then was really quite quick. There wasn't any kind of further tasks or exercises that the marketing debuts needed to do, although some agencies did set further tasks. Also worth mentioning that these are our actual marketing debuts. The screenshot here is, I think, 9 or 10 of our cohort that have joined the agencies. And it's so lovely to see them because we know them all really, really well now. So that's fantastic. Thanks, Katie. And, you know, the marketing debut program is very unique, and we're really grateful to have been recognised in the media for creating so many opportunities this week. In fact, if you are subscribed to Campaign in the Breakfast Bulletin this morning, you'll see that there's a piece on why would young people want to work in advertising, which clearly I fought for very hard in this opinion piece. And you can read about 4 of the apprentices there who have given really great interviews. The Guardian have also featured us, and the Drum, because you know, the programme is considerably different to anything else. And in fact, Scott, who seems to be making quite a feature in this webinar, he actually did a takeover of our Instagram account yesterday and talked about the day in the life of a project manager. We were expecting 2 or 3 posts from him. I think there were probably about 8 or 9, weren't there, Katie? He was pretty prolific. So Scott's a real superstar. So if you get a chance to check us out in the press, please do. But obviously there's a lot of information that we've given you there, and we're coming up to 25 to 12. So we have got plenty of time for questions, which is great. But I thought it was worth just summarising what we've talked about today and giving it to you in a nutshell. So the marketing debuts next cohorts, we hope to start in April 2021 if we have sufficient numbers. The programmes last a minimum of 12 months. And there is no obligation to keep the apprentice employed after the 12-month programme. However, we really hope they will become a valued member and long-term member of your team, obviously. We have 4 programmes and they are delivered across England. The learner has to have a UK postcode.
English postcode.
Sorry, English postcode. Kate, do you want to just tell us a little bit about why that is?
Yes, so in 2017, when the English government changed the way that apprenticeships are funded, the devolved nations didn't change in the same way. So what we found...
Oh, you've got on mute, Kate.
Black.
Oh, there you go.
Can you see me?
You went on mute, yes, sorry.
My screen went black, I'm sorry. So every devolved nation has a different way of arranging how they fund apprenticeships, and so we are registered in England to access the apprenticeship levy for England, but only England. And so for that, then the learners themselves need to have an English postcode.
And is there some kind of reach out to Northern Ireland? Can we do something with Northern Ireland with it being in the United Kingdom?
So we have an agreement with a Northern Irish registered apprenticeship training provider, and we do so we partner with them to do things across England and Northern Ireland. So yes, their standards are slightly different, but not hugely different. And so we partner with them to enable each other to deliver across the water.
Brilliant, thank you. So we have this 1-week employability bootcamp at the beginning of the programme that we told you about earlier. There are no management fees for the levy transfers. That is part of the service that the Opportunity Group offer as part of the programmes. The government levy pays for the programme training for all employees. And now, you know, just to reiterate, that is for new apprentices and existing, and that is for levy payers and transfers. So the levy pays for the training. The business pays the salary of the apprentice, and we recommend the city's living wage for that. As Katie mentioned earlier, if we hire the apprentice for you, we don't have to by any means. If you have your own apprentices, that's absolutely fine. We charge £1,000 flat fee, and that's to source, qualify them and hire them for you. We're really hoping that this extra government funding is going to get extended beyond March the 31st. If anyone is super interested in that, obviously, and we are going to run the schemes from April, there is a potential that we could get an apprentice hired for you by the 31st of March. But we're kind of hoping that within the budget in the beginning of March that will get extended. And really, we're asking people to register their interest by the 22nd of February to participate in the next cohort, because there is quite a lot of planning. We need to make sure we've got minimum numbers on the cohort in order to make that happen. So we're doing really well for time, guys. Amazing, 20 to 12. So my next slide just gives you next steps, which I'm not going to read out. I'll let you guys read that. But what I am going to do is go to the Q&A section now and just have a look at what questions you are wanting to ask us. Great. Okay. So just to say also, the questions come in anonymously, by the way, and no one else can see them. So, you know, please do ask questions. So Kate, this is one for you. Is the 3 million plus salary bill measured simply on basic salaries, or does it include bonus payments, etc.?
Yes, so it does include bonus payments, but if you have a partner structure, it doesn't include partner payments. So the reason I'm saying that if you are in a bonus-led culture, the month in which you pay your bonus, your levy payments will increase, because it will be 0.5% of what you are paying people that month. And then it will decrease again to reflect non-bonus months. But yes, it does include bonus payments. There may be a nuance that you pay your bonus payments in such a way that it's not affiliated through payroll, but if it is, then it is included.
Thank you. Someone's asked if this will be recorded and shared afterwards. Yes, this is definitely being recorded, and as long as you are registered, then we can share it with you afterwards, and you can forward it onto your colleagues. So a question here: how can you ensure employers are giving apprentices the right support during their working hours? Kate, I think I'll ask you to come back on that.
Yeah, so we, as well as Katie doing a brilliant job recruiting her young people to come onto the programme, we also work closely with the employers to be very transparent about our expectation of their support of the young people, and also of their employees who they have put onto the programme as well. So we will have conversations with you to understand your motivation of why you are hiring an apprentice. And also what we want to do is be super transparent about the expectation. So we work with the line managers as much as we work with the learners in terms of explaining what the programs are, the expectations of the learning, how they can support that application of learning on the day job. And also every quarter throughout the program, we will have what's called a three-way review, which means we meet with the line manager and the learner and the assessor, as well as having monthly meetings with the learner. And the reason for that is we know that the success of the learner really does depend on what's happening to them every day in the workplace. However supportive or good our programme is, we need to work in partnership with the employers. So we do.
Fantastic. And another question for you, Kate. If a business wanted to run a closed cohort, what would be the minimum number of apprentices or existing employees they would need?
We have spoken about a minimum cohort number of 20. If it was below that, you could also do a programme where there was just two who are almost partner companies coming together, and you could still have the feeling of additional tailoring to get to 20. But we would deal with that on a case-by-case basis. So as you, I'm sure, know, different programs are funded in different ways. So we are more beholden, for example, for Creative Project Manager to have more numbers because that funding is much lower. So we can talk with you about that and see how many you have in your business.
Great, thank you. Yeah, no, I think we've been talking to a lot of network agencies, you know, about maybe having 2 or 3 in each of their group agencies, basically, and that works really, really well. Katie, a question here for you. Can you give more detail around the application process, and you know, was there a CV, a covering letter, and the more practical tasks? So maybe talking a little bit more detail about how we found the people as well, the apprentices.
Yeah, so when they applied, so we used lots of jobs boards as well as the partnerships that I mentioned, and tried to push it out as far and wide as we could, to make sure that we were reaching the groups of people that we wanted to reach as well. And we asked for a CV and a covering letter, but they were very much kind of second place to the task, because I went into it fully appreciating that, again, some of these people may have never written a CV or a covering letter before, and so they don't really know what's expected of them. And also, I mean, if they're 18 and just finishing school, the likelihood is that they don't really have a great deal to put on their CV or covering letter. So I mean, the covering letter was really useful to give them an opportunity to talk about why they were interested in marketing debuts and why they wanted to work in the creative industry. But the main part really was the task. So we asked them what their favorite brand was and something that that brand had done on social media, and we kept it as brief as that. Like I said earlier, we had some really nice written pieces come back, but we also had lots of TikTok style videos. And obviously that's a bit more second nature to the age group that we were trying to attract. But also just some amazing animated videos talking through what brands do on social media. And I was really impressed actually with the level of thought that went into some, that they were kind of looking at what their competitors do, and what they were making suggestions about what they could do in the future, or things that they don't like about that brand's social media. So it was really interesting to just see their thought process, and also actually how interested they really were by the level of kind of effort that really went into that task.
Yeah, it was really impressive. I've got another question here from Hi Susie. What if we were only looking for one apprentice? Absolutely, no problem with that at all. There will be a minimum number for us to run the cohort in April, as an open cohort across the schemes. But we've got lots of businesses at the moment who have got one apprentice. So Ligas Delaney, 33 Seconds, can't think of any others at the moment that took on one, but there are plenty of businesses in the current cohort that have just hired one apprentice, no problem at all. Rob, is there a plan to extend the scheme to cover creative and design positions? Hi Rob, good to see you here. Not at the moment this year, but certainly we will be going out to businesses and finding exactly what kind of apprenticeship schemes would suit their businesses, and looking to build those for agencies and clients. But this year we won't be covering creative and design, I'm afraid. Let's see what other questions. And that's the same question. Will you be adding more programs over the next years? Yes, we most definitely will be adding more programs. Kate, another question that's just come in here to say, how easy is it to actually get the levy transfer in reality?
I'd say very. I was surprised how easy it was, to be fair. We've been doing it we've got a couple of other open cohorts that we work with. And historically, you may have heard there used to be a co-investment process where an organisation would have to, if they were a non-levy payer, pay 10%, which then was decreased to 5%. And that was much more administrative heavy. Now, what the government has done is really made it a very smooth process, particularly when you can work for a broker, or as we've got, is a ready-made donor who is non-region specific, but just very focused on supporting our programs. So the short answer is very.
Great. We've kind of covered this already, but is there a plan to extend the scheme to other countries? Now, we've obviously talked about the fact that we can broker a partnership with Northern Ireland, but does the Opportunity Group have a plan to go to any other countries? Is that possible as a UK business?
Bizarrely, it's actually easier for us to work globally in Europe and in America or Asia than it is for us to work in Scotland. So yes, we would absolutely like to do this more broadly than England. And we have different methods of funding those processes depending on the country. And what we do with other organisations who, for example, deliver this same programme consistently in other countries is we either work out a commercial cost to cover them having a version of the programme, which may be just live webinars and no assessor interaction or certification and endpoint assessment, or more of a high touch, with the knowledge that we will work with them to help them maximise the grant funding from the government of that country. So most Western countries now have an apprenticeship grant methodology, and we would love to work with those of you who have a global reach to exercise that. But as I say, bizarrely, Scotland and Wales are much more stringent than that. And what you would need to do is partner with a training provider or FE college that is registered in those countries to do a program. So you couldn't do this program, but what you could do is get involved in the live webinars and the content at a decreased commercial cost.
Great. Yeah, I mean, we're delivering training to so many different countries now. It's changed so much, hasn't it? It's just expected, which is a good thing that's come out of the situation that we find ourselves in right now. So another question: we're conscious that onboarding an apprentice virtually will be harder than in reality. Will you offer tips and advice on this? Should we talk a little bit about the work that we do with the host employers in terms of onboarding, Kate?
Yes, so we were actually very concerned about that, weren't we, Melissa, when we first talked about doing our cohort 1, about whether we should even pause it and wait until people could meet in person. But what we found is we did a lot of research about people who did it really well. There are some organisations who are doing virtual onboarding incredibly well, and we took some top tips from them. And what we've done is we supported the employers with lists and workshops of how to onboard virtually people who are new not only to their business but to the world of work. And also we feel that this employability bootcamp is a great holding space that the young people and we can test out how they are working from home. So it's incredibly high touch from our perspective for that first period of them getting used to working from home. But what we couldn't believe was that we had 100% attendance every single day to every single session, and arguably better attendance and engagement than if we were doing it live in an office block in the middle of London. So we also have a great relationship with the people by the time they start the program, thanks to Katie and all the hard work she's doing. And that really helps as well, that we can talk about their specific circumstance and help them to prepare for working from home. Some of them have still got borrowed laptops from us while they're waiting for their work laptop to be delivered, for example, or we helped to support them in getting headphones and additional screens. And really, I think that you guys as employers have been incredibly flexible with your existing employees, making sure they're successful at home as well. And we are just working a version of that to these new employees.
Yeah, I mean, that's really very much about what the bootcamp is about. And whoever's asked that question, because it's coming anonymously, we'd be really happy for you to be put in touch with some of the host employers that we've got at the moment and to find out how they've managed that. I mean, a lot of businesses are doing kind of, daily check-ins, town hall meetings, and through our check-ins with the apprentices, I'm really delighted to see that, they are being really engaged through the business and onboarded really, really super well. Okay, so we don't seem to have any more questions coming in. So if there are any more, please get them in now. So what I might do is just take you through what the next steps are if you would like to talk to us further about marketing debuts. If you could email me, and you will have my email address probably from the initial emails that I sent you, and we will get in touch after this webinar with the recording and some frequently asked questions as well. Contact me by February the 22nd if you're interested in April's programs. We would love to hear from you if you are thinking about an apprenticeship later on in the year as well. On confirmation of joining the programme, we would send you a form to complete to start the levy process. And that would then be followed with a levy agreement contract through the Opportunity Group. Now, if you are a levy payer, that process is much quicker. If you require a levy transfer, that takes a little bit longer. And if you're hiring an apprentice versus putting existing staff on the schemes, we'll then invite you to an assessment day, probably week commencing the 22nd of March, to meet potential candidates. We look to provide a minimum of 3 candidates for you. I think most of our host employers last year met at least 3 or 4 marketing debuts, and they definitely had a kind of first, second, third. It wasn't all kind of laying on one person. And then once paired with one of the apprentices, we'd look for you to make an offer at the end of March for them to start their apprenticeship later that month. I think we're looking at kicking off the boot camp around about the middle of April, the first week. So
after Easter, I think, so maybe the 12th.
After, yeah, that's right. Yeah. After, maybe even the week after, actually. So the second or third week of Easter, of April, sorry. So that's when we're looking to do those 3 schemes that I mentioned earlier: creative project management, data technician, and social and community manager. Digital marketer will definitely be coming online a little bit later on in the year. So that just leaves me to say a really big thank you to Katie and Kate. We don't have any more questions, so I'll leave those next steps up there for another few minutes. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And I hope to see you all again soon. Thanks.